Welcome to the course. I'm Eric, and I'm going to be your facilitator. Now, the course is self-paced, which means that you've got quite a lot of flexibility in how you move through the course. We often talk about retirement as a date on a calendar or a number in a bank account. But the truth is, it's much more than that. It's a chance to design a brand new chapter of your life from the ground up. So today we're going beyond the numbers to talk about something crucial. That's creating that holistic retirement vision. And we'll focus on 3 pillars that define a happy, fulfilling life after work: your finances, your health, and your relationship. So let's start by envisioning the life you want to live, which is pillar 1. Your financial vision has likely been focused on one thing: saving up. Now, getting that number higher month on month. But in retirement, this mindset shifts. Your new financial vision is all about spending, doing it without worrying. So to get this right, you need to go beyond simple budget. You need to define your retirement lifestyle. So what kind of retiree do you want to be? 3 types. With the adventurer, so do you see yourself traveling the world, exploring new cultures and constantly on the move? Do you see yourself as the homesteader? Is your vision a quiet life at home, tending to your garden, taking up new hobbies, and spending time with loved ones in your familiar setting? Or maybe the philanthropist. It's about giving back, volunteering for causes that you believe in and using your time and resources to help others. Now, the point here is you should put a name to your dream. Once you've defined your lifestyle, you can put numbers on it and build a budget that supports your vision, not just the expenses. Now, pillar 2 is all about envisioning your health. So a comfortable retirement means nothing if you don't have any health to enjoy it. Too many people think about health in retirement only when they become sick. Instead, your vision should be proactive. So close your eyes for a second and picture a typical day in retirement. What does it look like? Are you taking a morning walk, cycling, or doing a yoga class? Are you gardening for hours, or is your day filled on the golf course? Also, what does your plate look like? Is it filled with fresh produce, or are you living on ready meals? Your health vision is a wellness budget. It's about setting aside time and money for the activities and the nutrition that'll keep you active and engaged, allowing you to fully embrace that financial and lifestyle vision that you've created. Now we're on to pillar 3. So that's about envisioning your relationships. Now, this is the most overlooked part of retirement planning. For decades, your social life has been dictated by work colleagues and routine. But what happens when all that structure disappears? Your relationship vision is about being intentional. Do you want to spend more time with your partner, your children, maybe grandchildren, old friends you've lost touch with? And what new connections do you want to build? Maybe you want to join a book club, a volunteering group, or maybe even a sports team. Now, retirement is a chance to cultivate the relationships that matter most to you, and also to build some new ones that will enrich your life. So in conclusion for this section, building a vision for your finances, your health, and your relationships is the ultimate act of preparation for retirement. It's not just about planning for what's possible, it's about making your ideal future a reality. So I hope this has given you a powerful new perspective. The most important step is to simply start thinking about these things. What I'd like you to do is redraw the diagrams in this section with yourself at the center about where you are now and where you would like to be. So thanks for watching on this section, and I'll see you moving on to the next section. The next section is all about set realistic time frames.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Retiring is a huge milestone, but for a lot of people, the last year can feel overwhelming. So many things to do, so much to organise. But what if you could take the stress away and turn it into a simple step-by-step checklist? Well, that's what I've tried to do here. I've broken down the entire retirement prep into simple 12-month countdown timetable. And you should arrive there feeling confident, prepared, and ready to embrace the next chapter. So let's dive in, and first we'll talk about months 12 to 9 before you retire. The first few months are all about planning and information gathering. Think of this as laying the groundwork for your financial future. So first, create your retirement budget, and I've attached a sample Excel spreadsheet below. Now, your spending habits are going to change drastically, so sit down, get a firm grip on what your monthly and annual expenses will actually look like. Next, review all your pensions and investments. Gather together all your statements, including your work, pensions, private pensions, and state pension forecast. Now, if you've lost track of any old pensions, don't worry, because the government has a tracing service that you can access via the .gov website. And this is also a great time to consult a financial advisor. They can model your different scenarios and make sure your plan is robust and tax efficient as well. And don't forget, I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't a financial advice course, so it is worth speaking to a professional. And then finally, in this section, focus on your well-being and your relationship. So maybe schedule a full health checkup with your GP to get a baseline for healthier retirement. And most importantly as well, if you have a partner, discuss your shared vision for retirement. Talk about where you want to live, how you want to spend your time. So this is months 8 to 5. Now that you've got your information, it's time to start making some concrete moves. So first up, pay down any high interest debt. Entering retirement debt free gives you an immense financial freedom and peace of mind. Next, adjust your investment strategy if you think you need to. Now, as you get closer to retirement, you may want to de-risk your portfolio, and that generally means gradually shifting some of your high-risk investments to more stable assets to kind of protect your investments just before you go into retirement. Also, we want to formalize a retirement date now at this point. Now, the point where you actually let your employer know is very personal to you and your decisions and whether you're going to make a bonus, that kind of thing. So giving formal notice to your employer is a very personal thing that you need to work out for yourself, really. But when you do, you can ask for pension quotes from your different providers based on your chosen retirement date and what withdrawal method that you want to use. Now let's finish off with months 4 to 1. The finish line's now in sight, so use this final phase to wrap up all the practicalities. It's important to make sure that you do have an emergency fund. Now, this is pretty much a non-negotiable safety net to protect your long-term investments from unexpected costs. Complete all the paperwork, submit all the necessary forms to your employer and your pension provider. And this includes forms for your final payslip, company benefits and pension withdrawals. And of course, if you so feel like you should, arrange a celebration. It's time to plan a get-together with friends and the family to celebrate what really is an incredible milestone. So the final part for this is the final month. It's month 1 of the 12, and you've made it. This last month is for a few final checks and a lot of reflection, really. So we're looking to tie up any loose ends, confirm that all your paperwork has been processed, your first payment is scheduled, and finally embrace the change. Take a moment to reflect on your career and to get truly excited for the next chapter. A little bit of planning can go a long way in making your retirement transition smooth and stress-free. And hopefully by following this 12-month timetable tweaked to your own needs, you'll be well on your way to a confident and fulfilling retirement. Now, don't forget to go through some of them graphic elements and make them personal to yourselves. Hello and welcome. Can you feel it? That's the excitement of retirement, and it's right around the corner. You've worked for decades, you've saved and you've planned, but there's one critical final sprint you need to make in this last year to ensure a smooth and worry-free transition, and that's building a robust emergency fund. Now, you might think you've already done this, but a retirement emergency fund is different. It's not just a buffer, it's your financial fortress, and it protects you from a world where you no longer have a regular paycheck to fall back on. So today, I'm going to break down exactly why you need this fund and how to build it in just 12 months. So why is your emergency fund such a top priority now? Well, in the working world, an emergency fund gives you a cushion. In retirement, it's non-negotiable. It's a safety net. Why is this? Well, first, there's a lack of a steady, regular income. Without that regular paycheck, a single unexpected expense like a major car repair or a sudden dental bill can force you to tap into long-term savings, or even worse, your carefully managed investment portfolio. Secondly, an emergency fund protects your investments from market volatility. Now, imagine the market takes a dip right when you need to cover a new roof for your home. Without liquid cash, you might be forced to sell your stocks or bonds at a loss, permanently damaging your nest egg. Your emergency fund acts as a vital firewall, keeping your retirement savings safe and untouched. So let's talk about the 12-month action plan. So how do you get this done in just 1 year? Now, here's a simple 3-step plan. 1, set your target number. Forget the old rules of thumb. Your retirement emergency fund should cover between 6 and 12 months of your essential retirement expenses. That means things like your housing, your utilities, your groceries and healthcare. And why essential expenses? Because those are the costs you absolutely cannot avoid. Calculate this number now and make it your mission. So step 2 is to start the savings sprint. Now, with your number in hand, it's time to get aggressive for the next 12 months. Automate your savings. Set up a monthly transfer from your current account to your emergency fund. This kind of makes it automatic and non-negotiable. Reevaluate your spending. Look at your budget with a critical eye. Can you cut back on dining out, subscriptions, or other non-essentials for the next year? This is the final push. What about one-time windfalls? Do you have a work bonus, a tax refund, or any other one-time payment coming in? Then redirect it straight into your emergency fund. Step 3 is then to find the right home for your cash. So your emergency fund needs to be in a low risk, liquid place. This is not for long-term investing. This is for easy access. Now, some of the options for you may be a high yield savings account. These offer a better interest rate than a standard savings account, helping you to grow money with only slight amount of risks. Then there's one of my favorites, which is the money market account, and these are another low risk option that provide easy access to your funds. And we talk about market money accounts quite a lot on this course. The key is that the money is safe and instantly accessible. You can't afford to wait for a brokerage to settle a trade. So where are we trying to get to? Peace of mind. So let's think about what this emergency fund truly brings you. It buys you the freedom to enjoy your retirement without the nagging fear of the unexpected. It means that when you do get a surprise bill or there's a market downturn, your first thought is not, oh, how am I going to pay for this? But rather, thank goodness that I had prepared for this. Think of it as the final gift you can give yourself as you step into the next chapter of life. So let's start your 12-month sprint today. But don't forget to read through the rest of the course and the infographics in the section and revisit any areas that you're not sure about. And I'll see you down on the next section. Hey everyone, welcome back. We're on the home stretch to retirement. You've done the hard work of saving and planning, but this step can make a huge difference in your financial freedom. Now, aggressively tackling debt and slashing unnecessary expenses is vital. So the last year before retirement is the golden window. Everything you pay down or cut down now is less stress and more money in your pocket for your new life of retirement. So let's get right into it. Before you retire, the goal is to enter this new chapter with as little debt as possible. Think of every pound you pay towards a loan as a pound you won't have to worry about from your fixed retirement income. Here's how we can make this final push. So step 1 is to really work on high interest debt. Now, your first target really should always be any debt that has high interest, such as a credit card or workday loans, them kind of things. And these are financial black holes that eat away at your savings. So there's two popular strategies. One's called the debt avalanche. So this is where you pay down the debt with the highest interest first, regardless of the balance, and this saves you the most money over time. But others prefer the debt snowball. This is where you pay down the smallest debt first, and this gives you a psychological win of eliminating debt quickly, and it gives you the momentum to tackle the bigger ones. But once you've chosen one of them, we need to move to step 2, which is to either consolidate or refinance. So if you have multiple high interest debts, look possibly into a personal loan or a balance transfer credit card. This can simplify your payments into one manageable bill, and often at a lower interest rate, and that will free up cash flow. So step 3 then is to automate and then celebrate. Set up automatic payments for all your debts to ensure that you never miss a payment and incur late fees. As you pay off each debt, don't just move on. Take a moment to celebrate the victory. It really does give you that psychological lift to keep going. So part 2 of what I want to talk about now is the financial expenses audit. Now, let's talk about expenses. Retirement will change your daily costs, but you can get a head start just by auditing your spending now. So step 1 is the 3-month review. Go back over your bank account statements and credit card bills for the last 3 months. Don't just glance at them, categorize every single purchase. You'll likely be surprised where your money is going. And then step 2 is the subscription purge. It's the bane of our lives in modern society. And this is one of the easiest ways to save big. Are you paying for a gym membership that you don't use? Maybe you've got 2 different streaming services when you only actually watch one of them. Now, be ruthless. Cut anything that isn't essential. It doesn't bring you joy. Now, step 3, about lifestyle tweaks. No big overhauls here. You don't need to live like a hermit. Focus on the small, sustainable changes. And then we got meal planning. So cook at home more and reduce how often you dine out. And then the good old one, comparison shopping. Use apps and websites to find better deals on insurance, your mobile phone plan, or groceries. Reduce driving where you can. Car maintenance and petrol bills are a big cost, and you can actually bike or walk for most local errands in most places. But the conclusion here is that we're looking to get some peace of mind back. And by taking these steps, tackling your debts and trimming your expenses, you're not just saving money, you're buying that peace of mind as well. And that means you'll enter retirement with fewer financial obligations, a much simpler life really, and a clearer picture of your new budget. So this final sprint is a powerful way to make your transition from that work life to retirement life as smooth and as stress-free as possible. So quickly think now, what's the first expense that you're going to cut? Hope that was all useful, and I'll see you in the next section of the course.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the course. Now, retirement is one of life's biggest milestones. It's a time to relax, travel, finally do all the things you've been dreaming about. But to make that dream a reality, you will need a solid financial plan. So today we're going to tackle 2 of the most critical steps in your journey. First, assessing your current finance situation, and secondly, creating a realistic retirement budget. So let's dive in. Think of the first step like getting a full financial physical. You need to know exactly where you stand before you can plan where you're going. The goal is to get a crystal clear picture of your assets and your debts. So first, let's look at your net worth. This is a pretty simple equation. All of your assets minus all of your liabilities or your debts. Now, assets include things like your savings, your current accounts, any investments you have like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, your retirement accounts such as a SIP or a pension, personal pension, even the value of your home or other real estate. Now, subtract your liabilities, which are your debts like your mortgage, your car loans, your credit card balances, and any other loans that you may need to pay. And knowing this number can give you a pretty powerful baseline. Next, you need to understand your future income streams. Retirement isn't just about what you've saved so far, it'll also be about what's coming in. So how much will you get from state pension or any other benefits? And what about personal pensions? And how much will you be able to withdraw from your investments each year without actually running out of money? Now, getting these numbers solid is the foundation for everything else. In part 2, we're talking about building your retirement budget. Once you know where you stand, it's time to build your retirement budget. And this is different from any current budgets that you might be running, because your spending habits will change dramatically. You'll likely spend less on things like commuting to work clothing, work lunches, but you might spend more on new areas. So start by breaking down your expenses into 2 main categories, and those are essential expenses, and these are the non-negotiables like your rent or mortgage, any council tax, home maintenance. What about bills for electricity, water, internet? And healthcare is a big one as well. Don't forget dentist appointments, Medicare, health insurance, out-of-pocket costs for prescriptions or doctor's visits. And then food, obviously, we've got groceries and any dining out that you might want to do. But then we're into discretionary expenses, and this is the fun part. These are the expenses you can control. So for travel, are you planning a dream vacation or some small weekend trips? For your hobbies, do you golf, garden, paint, something else? Make sure your budget can support wherever your passions are. And don't forget subscriptions, streaming services, gym memberships, magazines, gifts and donations. And don't forget to budget for those unexpected costs. I mean, life happens around us, so it's smart to have a buffer for emergencies or any last-minute expenses. Now, the magic happens when you bring these 2 parts together by assessing your current finances and then creating a realistic retirement budget. In this way, you can see if your projected income will actually cover your expenses, and if there is a gap, you can take action now to close it. So to conclude this part of the course, the most powerful tools you need for a confident retirement are your budget and your expenditure plans. It might seem like a lot to work out, but take the time to do this now, and it will give you peace of mind for decades. I've linked some resources below, like spreadsheets, to help you get started, but don't wait. Take control over your financial future. Hey everyone, welcome back to the course. Now, you must have looked at your payslip at some point, seen the pension deduction and thought, what on earth am I paying for? And what is it doing for me? Well, you're not alone. Pensions can feel a bit far away, to be honest. But what if I told you that understanding them is actually one of the most important things you can do for your future self? Because that's what it is. A pension is your future. Now, in this video, I'm going to break down the 3 main types of pensions in the UK, and they are the defined benefit, the defined contribution, and the good old state pension. And I'll make it simple, I'll try and make it clear, and at the end, I'll hopefully have you feeling like a pensions pro in no time. Now, first up, let's talk about the big one. And that's the big golden ticket, if you manage to have one, and that's a defined benefit pension. And this is about guaranteed income. So
a guaranteed income for life. That's essentially what a defined benefit pension is. It's often called a final salary or a career average scheme. The amount you'll get in retirement isn't based on how much money you and your employer put in or how well the investments perform. Instead, it's based on a formula, and it's usually a combination of your salary at or near your retirement date and how many years you've worked for the company or the organisation. Now, these pensions are fantastic. I've got a few myself, and that's because they offer a guaranteed, reliable income stream that you can't outlive them. They'll be there forever. They're still quite common in the public sector, like the teachers, NHS staff, council staff, but they're much rarer in the private sector these days because they're actually quite expensive for employers to run. So if you have one, you've got a brilliant asset for your retirement planning. Now, for a type of pension you're much more likely to have, and that's a defined contribution pension. And this is about a growing pot. So this is the most common of private pensions or company pensions in the UK. And if you're working in the private sector, it's likely you've got one. Now think of it as a savings pot or a piggy bank that a lot of people are helping to fill up. There's you and your employer, thanks to auto-enrolment, and the government all pay money in. Now, the money gets invested in things like stocks and shares and bonds or property, and the amount you get at retirement depends on three things, and these are how much you and your employer have paid in, how well those investments have performed over the years, and also any of the fees that you've paid along the way. Because the value can go up and down, there's a bit of risk involved, but the potential for growth over the long term is actually really, really good. Now, auto-enrolment has been a massive success in the UK, making it super easy for millions of people to start saving without even having to think about it. And finally, the one we all have our eyes on, the UK state pension. Now, this is the foundation. So let's talk about the UK state pension. Think of this as the kind of solid foundation of your retirement income. It's a regular payment from the government when you reach state pension age. To get the full amount of the state pension, you usually need to have 35 qualifying years of national insurance contributions. You'll need at least 10 years to get state pension at all. And now you can check your national insurance records online with the government to see how well you're doing if you go to gov.uk. Now, this is a great way to make sure that you are actually on track. So where does this leave us all? So defined benefits is that guaranteed income. Defined contribution is a growing pot of money. And the state pension is that financial safety net. And they all work together to build a more comfortable retirement for you if you're lucky to have all three. Now, the key takeaway is this. Pensions aren't something to worry about. They're something to be really excited about, actually. They're a path to a future where you can do more of what you love. And it all starts with taking a moment to understand what you have and then building on it. So I hope this little intro was useful and informative. Now, don't forget to run through all the documents below in this course section. Thanks. Hello and welcome to Module 3, Section 2 of our retirement course. We're on the home straight.
Retirement's not far now, but all the excitement comes with a big question. What do we do with our pension pots? Now, this is arguably the most complex section of the course, but I hope that once you've run through all the documents below in this section, that you'll have a good understanding of the subject and at least enough for you to confidently go and see a financial advisor well armed with basic information about how pension investing works. Now, up until now, your strategy has probably been about growing your pension, but with only a year or so to go, the focus does change. It's no longer about growing a snowball. It's about making sure that the one you built is safe and that it can provide a reliable income for the rest of your life. Now, today, we're going to talk about the critical steps you need to consider right now. So this first section is about shifting from growth to protection of your investments. Now, your investment strategy needs a major shift. The number one priority now is protecting your capital. I mean, we're talking about avoiding any big losses that could wipe out years of hard work over the next year. You're likely to be thinking about moving your money out of higher risk, growth-focused investments like aggressive stocks into more stable and secure assets. Now, this is often referred to as de-risking, or if you've been speaking to your pension company, they may call it lifestyling. Now, think of it as moving your money from the fast lane to the slow lane to avoid a crash just before you get to your destination. Now, unless you really understand the implications of any changes you decide on, you really should speak to an independent financial advisor. I mean, this course, as you know, does not offer financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. Now, the second section is about the key UK options for retirement income. When you turn 55 or 57 from 2028, you have three main ways to access your pension pot, and you'll often use a combination of them. First is the tax-free lump sum, and this is a fantastic benefit. You can take up to 25% of your total pension pot as a tax-free lump sum. Now, you can use this money for anything you like, paying off your mortgage, buying a new car, or taking a once-in-a-lifetime trip. The second option is Flexi Access Drawdown, and this gives you complete control. Your remaining 75% stays invested, and you can take out money as and when you need it. The big advantage here is flexibility. You can adjust your income, and your pot can continue to grow, although it is exposed to market risk. Now, you'll need to manage this carefully to make sure that your money lasts as long as you do. Third section is about an annuity, and this is a guaranteed income option. You could use your pension pot to buy a guaranteed income for life from an insurance company. The amount you get is fixed, which means you have certainty. You won't have to worry about the stock market, but you do lose some flexibility and the potential for some future growth. The fourth thing I wanted to discuss is important, and that's the potential to leave it invested. You don't have to take all your money out at once. You can simply leave your pension pot invested and only withdraw what you need. And this allows your pot to continue to grow, but you'll need to keep a close eye on it. Now, before you hit the big day, here are 3 things you should do. Number one, and I'm serious about this one, talk to a financial advisor. This is a life-changing decision. A professional can help you navigate the complexities and create a plan with you that works for you. The second thing is to check your pension provider's options. Your provider might have a ready-made investment pathway designed specifically for people approaching retirement. It's worth a look to see what they offer. And then the third one is getting your state pension forecast. Now, you're not just relying on a private pension generally in the UK. The UK state pension is a key part of most retirees' income. So go to .gov.uk website, get your state pension forecast to see what you're entitled to. Now, retirement is a new chapter, and smart financial planning now will give you peace of mind to enjoy going forward. So let's talk about the bucket strategy. Now, we've talked a lot about saving for retirement in this course, but let's shift our focus onto the next stage, creating a reliable and worry-free income stream. Now, many people worry about things like the market downturns right as they start to withdraw their money. Now, the bucket strategy is a fantastic way to help you mitigate some of these risks and to give you some peace of mind. Let's talk about the three buckets. So the core concept, think of your retirement savings, not as one big pot of money, but as three distinct buckets. Now, each bucket serves a different purpose based on when you'll need the money. So bucket one, I'm going to call this the now bucket, which is 0 to 3 years. Now, the purpose of this bucket is for your immediate short-term spending. Holds enough cash or cash equivalents to cover your living expenses for the next 1 to 3 years. And what's in this bucket? This is the most conservative bucket. It will contain things like cash savings, money market funds, maybe some short-term bonds. And why is this bucket important? Well, this acts as your security blanket. Now, even if the stock market has a bad year, you won't need to sell any investments at your loss because living expenses are covered by this safe, liquid cash in bucket one. So let's talk about bucket two. This is, I'm going to call this the soon bucket, and it's 3 to 7 years. The purpose of this bucket is for your medium-term needs, and it's designed to provide a bit of modest growth while being relatively safe. Now, this bucket holds assets with a bit more risk than bucket one, but still very conservative. We'll look at things like intermediate-term bonds, high-quality dividend-paying stocks. Why is this important? Well, the goal here is to keep pace with inflation and earn a slightly higher return than from bucket one. So this money is ready to be moved into bucket one when the time comes. Now, lastly, we've got bucket three. I'm going to call this the later bucket. And this is 7 years plus. The purpose of this is your long-term growth engine. This money won't be needed for 7 to 10 years. So it's got plenty of time to grow and ride out the market's ups and downs. So what's in the bucket? Well, this is where you may place more growth-orientated investments, such as globally diversified portfolio of stocks, maybe index funds and potentially other higher growth assets. And this is, particularly where you're going to need some professional financial advice. So this bucket's going to grow throughout retirement, helping you to ensure that the money lasts for your entire lifetime. The growth from this bucket is what will be used to replenish the other two buckets. Okay, now let's talk about the flow of money, because this is important. So how does this work actually in practice? So each year you'll draw your income from bucket 1. And while you're doing that, you'll monitor the performance of your long-term investments in bucket 3. Now, in years when the market performs well, we'll sell some of these profitable assets to top up bucket 2, and if needed, bucket 1 as well. And in years when the markets maybe is on a bit of a down, we simply leave bucket 3 to recover. Don't touch it. And this way you'll continue to draw your income from bucket 1, knowing you have enough money to last for several years. Let's give us the market some time to bounce back potentially. And this kind of simple visual process should help you feel a sense of control and remove some of the emotional stress watching your portfolio value fluctuate up and down, because the things that are going to fluctuate are kind of 7 years away. So this means you'll hopefully never feel pressured to sell when the market's very low. Does this make sense? Well, the beauty of the strategy is its simplicity and the psychological benefit of being able to put things into safer buckets. It helps us plan not just the numbers, but the peace of mind as well. So to get this set up, you'll need to calculate your estimated annual expenses, and then you'll also need to determine your ideal size of each bucket. So how do you feel about this as an approach? Does it feel like it could work for you? Now, I'm going to run over the same concept, but in a slightly different way, just to make sure it's been understood. The bucket strategy is about managing sequence of return risks. And this is the danger of the market downturning in the very early years of your retirement. And by separating your money into these separate buckets, it gives you this psychological buffer and a clear withdrawal plan. Now let's quickly revisit them principles again. So this approach requires a retirement portfolio into 3 distinct categories, and this is based on time and risk. So again, bucket 1, this is cash and safe assets over the first 0 to 3 years. Now the primary goal of this is capital preservation and liquidity. And this money is for your immediate living costs and expenses, and to provide a safe harbour when the market's going up and down. Now, typical assets you might find in here will be, high interest savings accounts, money market funds, very short government bonds, maybe UK gilts with a maturity of less than 3 years. And the rationale for this is that the funds are here to insulate you from market fluctuations, ensuring that you'll never have to sell in a declining market. Now, bucket 2 then, this is about income and conservative growth, and the time horizon for this was 4 to 7 years. The primary goal of this is a modest growth and income generation to replenish bucket 1. And the typical assets you might find in here would be the high quality corporate bonds, maybe bond funds, conservative balance funds, and dividend paying equities maybe. But your financial advisor should be able to advise you a bit more closely on that. Now, the rationale for this bucket is it offers a higher yield than bucket 1, without that full volatility of a stock market, and it's a staging area, if you like, for the funds before they move into this cash bucket, bucket 1. So bucket 3 then, this is your growth bucket, as we mentioned, and The time horizon on this is long term, so we're talking 8 years plus, and the primary goal is a bit more of an aggressive approach to beating inflation if you can. The typical assets you might have in here are potentially globally diversified equity funds, e.g., like the FTSE Global All Cap, small cap stocks, and high growth funds. And the rationale for this was it's the core engine, it's what builds your funds. Now, since these funds won't be touched for many years, they have time to recover from any market downturns, allowing you to benefit from the power of compounding. Anything that goes into this bucket, you will need to speak to a financial advisor to make sure you're buying the right kind of assets. Now, other thing I wanted to talk about is rebalancing. You may have heard of rebalancing. The bucket method is a dynamic process, not about static allocation. The money between these buckets is, and how it moves, is a critical feature, and you have to rebalance them. Now, you do this at set points of the year, maybe the 1st of January, you might assess your portfolio. So then the process of withdrawing living expenses for the upcoming year from bucket 1, then if bucket 1's cash level is low, then replenish it from moving from bucket 2 to bucket 1. Finally, move funds from bucket 3 to bucket 2 to top it up. When your growth assets in bucket 3 have had a very, very strong year, maybe 15% or more, you can top slice some of the gains and move the profits into bucket 2 or maybe in bucket 1. And this is a crucial step for capitalizing on the good years. If the market's down, you simply leave bucket 3 and rely solely on bucket 1 and maybe 2. This addresses some of the sequence of return risk we talked about. And the key benefit of the strategy is its ability to mitigate this kind of sequence of returns risk. If the market crashes in the first few years of your retirement, you can avoid selling these lowly valued assets that you have in bucket 3 because you've got several years worth of living expenses already secured in buckets 1 and 2. Now, this allows your long-term investments to recover before you need to touch them. So let's talk example allocations, and these are just examples and not suggestions in any way. So let's assume we have Tom and his retirement. He's got £40,000 living expenses, and in bucket 1 he's got £120,000. He allocates 50% to high interest accounts, 50% to market funds. Now in bucket 2, he's got £160,000, and in that he's allocated 50% to UK corporate funds and the other half to all companies income fund. Then in bucket 3, this is the remainder of his portfolio, he's allocated 70% to the global all cap index and 30% small cap growth funds. Now, the pros and cons of these. There's a psychological comfort to separate the funds, given a strong sense of control, and this reduces anxiety during market downturns. But there's also a potential for underperformance. If you're in a perpetual bull market, keeping large amounts of cash in bonds, buckets 1 and 2, may lead to lower returns compared to a simple, fully invested portfolio. Another benefit then is that it preserves your capital, so it ensures that the short-term needs are met without being forced to sell at a loss. But it has complexity. It'll be more complex to manage than maybe just a 4% rule, just withdrawing 4% from a single pot every year. And it does require you to this annual rebalance and moving things around. Another benefit is it will give you clear, simple framework for withdrawals. It's easy to understand, hopefully. But downside is tax implications. Moving funds between buckets may create taxable events if, for example, they're held in non-tax advantage accounts like a general investment account instead of like an ISA. But it protects against sequence of returns risk, allows the longer term assets to recover from a bear market, let's say, without being depleted so early on. But we got arbitrary allocations. The number of years in each bucket is a guideline, not a hard rule. And it's not actually scientifically proven to be optimal for every scenario. See you on the next section.
Are our pensions at risk? Well, yes, of course. There's always risk in managing pensions, but risk is nuanced. And there is an argument to say that if we all increased our understanding of risk a small amount, we can improve our retirement by a large amount. And that's basically what this module's about. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some simple aspects of risks that most of you will know, but some you may not have heard of. Now, in the world of risk management, which was my profession before I retired, we often talked about upside risk, which in English roughly translates to the chance that things will go better than expected. So we're talking opportunity. Now, risk and opportunity are two sides of the same coin, and if you consider one without the other, you can run into problems. I mean, as human beings, we're programmed to fear losing more than we are motivated to gain things. And this has been proven in lots of social experiments. And it's the reason that if you asked a novice to look after a portfolio of investments, they'd start to lose it quite quickly. Now, our instinct when an investment starts to drop in value is to cash it in before we lose even more. But our instinct when investments go up in value is again to cash it in before they drop. Now, both of these things can be damaging to pension portfolios. Now, as chimpanzees don't really understand investing, if you give the same portfolio to a novice human and a chimp, where the chimp can only make random investments, then the chimp will pretty much always do better. Now, professional investors go through advanced training in risk management and in general are trained to ignore these natural instincts that cause these risk aversion losses. But the problem with getting a professional to manage your portfolio is that unfortunately they insist on being paid for their services. And as they'll only be slightly better than you, then by the time you've paid them, you'd probably been better off with the chimp. So what can we do, as most of us don't generally have ready access to a chimp? Now, the term to remember is index and chill. So let's break that down. An index in investment terms refers to the shares of a large group of companies all bundled together so that if some do well and others perform badly, then on average you won't lose your shirt. Now, the risk is spread. We have started to diversify our investments at this point. So index and chill, spread your risk with an index fund, then chill. In other words, don't keep chopping and changing it. I mean, even better, don't even look at it. One of my subscribers on the course here said that he checks his pension portfolio once a year on New Year's Eve. Now, the rest of the time, he doesn't even worry about it, which I think is good advice. So if you look at an index week by week over the last few months, you would have seen the index going up and down by 5% or more. Now, take the advice of my subscriber and check it once per year, and that volatility will suddenly decrease significantly. Even better, look at the performance of the indices over the last 20-year period and things smooth out even more. 20 years is my favourite time frame for looking at stocks indices, as this is how I tend to use them. I have a pension pot containing all the money I've paid into my pensions over my lifetime, but I don't look at this as a single pot of money. Much like the last chapter, I'm going to break this down into 3 buckets. Now, I use a different time frame. My buckets are the first 10 years, the second 10 years, and then after 20 years. Now, in the first bucket, the 1 to 10 years, I don't invest this in stock indices because I know these can go up and down. So I invest this bucket of cash in things that are less risky for me. The next bucket, though, is money that I expect to spend between 10 and 20 years' time. Now, this bucket is a mix of very safe investments and some index investments. The final bucket is money I will spend in 20 years' time. Now, I'm 56, so this is money I will spend from the age 76 onwards. And I'm pretty confident that the indices I have invested in will perform well over a 20-year period. So this is a risk that personally I'm happy to take. So let's take a look at some numbers around this third bucket. And to do this, I will look at the average returns of these investments over the previous 20 years. Now, the index I have chosen is a group of over 5,000 companies from all over the world, and I can buy a single investment that splits my money over all these different companies. So if I'd invested in the All World Index 20 years ago, I would have, on average, had a return of 8.8% per year. Now, we all know that large world events impact markets, and if we consider 4 of the biggest events over the past 100 years, namely the Great Depression in the late 1920s, World War II between 39 and 45, the global financial crisis of 2008, then the global pandemic of 2020, then 2 of these cataclysmic events have happened in the last 20 years, and the world index still returned nearly 9% per year on average. For money I don't plan to use in the next 20 years, then I like the world index personally. Now, other people have different risk appetite than me, and they chose an index that's more volatile, which is a large American index called the S&P 500. Now, the argument goes that America is different, and this is called American exceptionalism. Another theory is largely based on the fact that America holds the world's reserve currency, and this gives it more power, and this leads to better performance for the companies in theory. So let's take a look. The average annual return of the S&P 500 over the last 20 years has been 10.9%, which is fantastic. Now, whether you believe in American exceptionalism and that they can keep this up for the next 20 years is kind of up to you, really, and whether you think America will continue to perform in the same way. Now, let's consider some other options. How about the FTSE 100, a group of the 100 largest companies listed on the UK stock market? And this includes companies such as Unilever and Shell. Well, these have done less well over the period. The average return over 20 years has been 5.5%. Still not bad, better than most bank accounts. How about we go with something that is much lower risk? Now, if you have a self-invested personal pension or a SIP, then you may choose investments that track the rate at which banks lend money to each other overnight. This is sometimes called a Sterling Overnight Tracker or a Sonia Tracker, and I use one of these personally for my buckets. The money I will spend over the next 10 years goes predominantly into this particular index, and this pays a pretty steady 0.1% each week, and this doesn't vary much. That gives a yearly return of about 5%. Now, we can't put our pensions into a bank or keep it under our pillow, but let's consider these options anyway. Let's assume the bank pays us 3% and there's an option to keep your money under the mattress as well for your pension. Now, keep it under your mattress for me, this is the highest risk option, not because of burglars, but because of another pesky risk, and that's the thief called inflation. So the average yearly inflation over the past 20 years has been 2.8%. Now, the returns I've been discussing so far have been nominal returns, and these do not take into account inflation. But inflation's real, and it happens to us all, so we should consider it when we're looking at the returns over longer periods. So if we take off inflation, our new returns look like this. Now let's imagine I invested £100,000 20 years ago. How would we have done? Well, the mattress option, we would have lost £43,400 from the value of our £100,000, or 43% of it. And you can see why this is a risky option. The bank option will give us £4,000 profit over a 20-year period, and the Sonia overnight tracker is much better again at £55,300 profit. Now, even though the FTSE hasn't done brilliantly over the last 20 years, it would still return us £71,600. Now, my choice, which is the All World Index, returned $232,000, while the US S&P 500 returned a whopping £322,000. Hey everyone, welcome back to the course. So today we're going to dive into a topic that may sound a little bit niche, but actually could have an impact on your retirement plans, especially if you're thinking about retiring early. So we're talking about something called the protected pension age. Now, you might be thinking, what's that got to do with me? Well, if you were born after April 5th, 1973, you might assume that your earliest retirement age for accessing a pension is 57. And for most people, that's true, as the minimum pension age is rising from 55 to 57 in 2028. But there's a kicker. Some of you might actually have a protected pension age of 50. Yeah, that's right, 50. Even if you were born in the late 70s, 80s, or even the 90s. Now, how is this possible? It all comes down to historical pension rules and how schemes have merged or transferred over the years. Before A-Day, which was April 2006, the minimum pension age was 50. When the rules changed, some occupational pension schemes and even some personal pensions were granted a protected pension age for their members, and this allowed them to retain the early access. This protection usually applied to members who were already part of the scheme at that time. Now, the crucial point is that the protection can sometimes carry over even if the scheme itself has undergone some changes, or if your pension's been transferred. It's not always immediately obvious, and that's definitely something that every pension provider highlights front and centre. So why should you be worried, or at least very careful? If you have a protected pension age of 50 and you want to retire early, well, imagine this. You're 52, you've meticulously planned to finish work, you're looking forward to those early years of freedom, and you're counting on accessing your pension pot. Now, if your protected pension age is 50, then great, you can do that. But this is where the danger lies. If you transfer that pension to a new provider without checking if the protected pension age can be maintained, you could inadvertently lose your protection, and suddenly your access age jumps from 50 right up to 57. That's a 7-year difference. You know, that's 7 years that you might have not planned to work, 7 years of your savings being stretched further, or even 7 years where you might be relying on other less tax efficient funds to kind of bridge that gap. Now, for somebody planning early retirement, this could completely derail their strategy. It's absolutely vital to check the details before you even thinking about moving a pension that might have a protected pension age. Don't assume anything. So here's what you need to do. Identify your old pensions. Now dig out any pension statements or details for schemes you were a member of, particularly those before 2006, or any schemes that have been transferred multiple times. Then contact your provider. Get in touch with the administrator of your current or old pension scheme and ask them directly, does this pension have a protected pension age? If so, what is it? And ask about transfers. If you're considering moving your pension, specifically ask the transferring scheme and the new potential schemes, if I transfer this pension, will the protected pension age be maintained? Some providers can facilitate transfers whilst maintaining the protected age, but it's not a given, and often they have specific procedures or requirements. Now, not all schemes are set up to accept these protected age transfers. If you transfer a pension with a protected pension age into a new scheme that doesn't offer the same protection, you'll lose it. It's often irreversible. Now, this is just not theoretical. You know, I've heard of stories of people who've actually found out the hard way. And this will significantly impact their retirement timeline. So for those of you born after April 5th, 1973, don't just assume your earliest access age is 57. There is a chance, slim, that you could benefit from a protected pension age of 50. But with that benefit comes a critical responsibility. Now, due diligence before any pension transfer is a must. If in doubt, always seek professional advice. A qualified advisor can help you to navigate the complexities and ensure your early retirement dreams don't turn into a nightmare because of an overlooked detail. Today, we're talking about an important topic for those approaching retirement in the UK, and that's understanding healthcare options. It's a subject that can feel a bit complex, but my goal today is to give you a clear, straightforward guide to help you plan with confidence. The foundation of our healthcare system is, of course, the National Health Service, the NHS. Now, it's a fantastic, if very overstretched service that provides free at the point of use healthcare for all UK residents. Your access to the NHS doesn't change when you retire. You still have access to your GP, access to hospitals, specialists, and all the emergency services. One of the key benefits for retirees, though, is free prescriptions. Now, once you turn 60, you no longer have to pay for your prescriptions. It's a simple but fairly significant saving. It can make a big difference. Especially if you have a few regular medications. Now, beyond prescriptions, you get free NHS site tests once you're over 60 as well. And don't forget that the NHS provides a wide range of services beyond your GP and hospital visits. These include district nurses, community health teams, and support for managing long-term health conditions. Now, while the NHS is brilliant, although very, very overworked, some people choose to supplement it with private healthcare insurance. Now, this isn't for everyone, and it does come at a cost, but it can offer a few key benefits. The most common reasons people consider it are to potentially get faster access to elective treatments and to have more choice over when and where you're treated. It can also provide access to services that aren't always available on the NHS, and these are things such as mental health therapies or maybe some certain alternative treatments. If you're thinking about this, it's important to shop around. Premiums can really vary significantly based on your age, your location, pre-existing medical conditions. Now, a good broker can help you navigate the options and find a policy that fits your budgets and your needs. Retirement often means more time for travel, but this brings up a crucial question. What about healthcare abroad? Now, first, for travel within the EU and the EEA and Switzerland, your global health insurance card, the GHIC, is an absolute must-have. It gives you access to medically necessary state healthcare during a temporary stay. And it's on the same terms as any local resident would get there. Now, that means if a local person has to pay a contribution for treatments, you will too. Now, don't forget to apply for your free GHIC from the official NHS website. Avoid any of these unofficial sites that try to charge you a fee for what's a basic admin task, really. But, and this is a big but, the GHIC is not a replacement for travel insurance. It won't cover things like private medical care, mountain rescue, or the cost of getting you flown back to the UK if you become seriously ill. Now, this is where comprehensive travel insurance comes in. It's not that expensive, but it's absolutely vital, especially when you get older. And you may then have pre-existing medical conditions. When you get a quote, you must be completely honest about these pre-existing conditions, because if you don't declare a condition and you need treatment for it abroad, your policy is likely to be invalidated, and this could leave you with potentially massive medical bills. So we're talking companies like All Clear, Able to Travel. These specialise in this kind of cover, so they're a great place to start. Navigating your healthcare and retirement can seem like a lot, but a bit of planning goes a long way. The NHS is incredible, and that will continue to support you. And by understanding when and how to use private insurance or travel insurances, you can ensure that you're prepared for pretty much anything that travel throws your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hi everyone, welcome back to the course. Today we're going to try and understand the benefits you may be entitled to in retirement. It can feel a bit like a maze, but don't worry, we're going to break it down for you. Now, many people assume that once they retire, their income is just their pension, but that's not always the case. There's a range of financial support and benefits designed to help you make your retirement more comfortable and secure. So let's dive in. Now, first up, and probably the most well known, is the state pension. There are two main types depending on when you reached state pension age. There's the new state pension for those reaching it on or after the 6th of April 2016, and the basic state pension for those who reached it before then. Now, to qualify, you generally need to have a certain number of qualifying years of national insurance contributions. Now, the more years you have, the higher your state pension will be, up to the full amount. Now, the best way to find out what you're entitled to is to get a state pension forecast. And you can do this quite easily online via the government website. I'll put a link in the description below. It's really useful tool, actually. Now, let's talk about means tested benefits. These are benefits where your income and savings are taken into account to determine if you're eligible. Now, don't let the term put you off. Many people are entitled to these without even realizing it. Now, one of the big ones here is pension credit. This can top up your weekly income if you're over state pension age and on a low income. It can also open the door to some other benefits like help with housing costs, council tax, and even NHS prescriptions. Now, if you rent, housing benefits can help you with your rent payments, and almost everyone on a low income should check if they're eligible for council tax reduction. It's absolutely worth checking if you do qualify for pension credit, even if you think your income's too high. Many people miss out on thousands of pounds per year because they don't apply. We'll talk more about where to get help checking eligibility a bit later. But beyond income support, there are also benefits designed to help with specific needs, particularly if you have a disability, health condition, or you need some care. Now, attendance allowance is a non-means tested benefit for people over state pension age who need help with personal care or supervision because of an illness or a disability. It's not about how severe your condition is, but about the care needs that it creates. And you don't need to have someone actually providing the care to claim it. If you're under state pension age and have a long-term health condition or disability that affects your daily living or mobility, you might be eligible for personal independent payments or a PIP. Now, other specific benefits also include the winter fuel allowance payment, which is an annual payment to help with heating costs. And there's the cold weather payments triggered during periods of very cold weather. And there's more also, don't forget, there's some valuable concessions and other forms of support. A free bus pass is available to everyone once they reach state pension age in England, and similar schemes exist in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. If you're still travelling further afield, a senior rail card offers some great discounts on train travel. Now, depending on your age and income, you might also be entitled to free NHS prescriptions, eye tests, and help with the cost of dental treatments. And for those over 75 and receiving pension credit, you're also eligible for a free TV licence. Well, this is a big one, obviously, so if you're struggling with the cost, do check if pension credit could open up that door for you. So how do we check where to get help? There's a lot of information, and the key takeaway here is don't assume you're not eligible. Many people miss out simply because they don't know what's available or how to apply. So here are some fantastic resources that can help you navigate the system. Firstly, there's the Citizens Advice Bureau. They offer free, impartial advice on a huge range of topics, including benefits. Then there's Age UK, specifically focused on older people. They have excellent information on local services to help with benefit checks and applications. Then there's the gov.uk website. This is the official government website. And it really is a treasure trove of information, application forms and benefit calculators. Many of these organisations have online benefit calculators where you can input your details and get an estimate of what you might be entitled to. It's often the quickest and easiest way to start your journey. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. That's what these services are there for. Now, retirement should be a time to enjoy the fruits of your labour, and having the right financial support can make a huge difference. Take the time to explore what's available to you. It could really boost your income and peace of mind. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Inheritance tax is a big concern for many UK families. With frozen tax thresholds, more estates are being caught in the net. So in this video, we'll break down the essentials of inheritance tax planning for UK retirees. We'll go from the basics of the nil rate band to some key strategies like gifting, trusts, and using your pension. So get ready to take control of your financial legacy. But disclaimer, this video is for informational purposes only and doesn't constitute financial or legal advice. So please do consult with a qualified financial advisor or a solicitor for personalised guidance. Hello and welcome back to the course. Today we're talking about a topic that's on the minds of many people in the UK, and that's inheritance tax, or IHT. It can be a bit of a scary subject, and for many it does feel like a tax on being successful and wanting to pass on a legacy to your family. With rising property values and frozen tax thresholds, more and more people are finding their estates are now liable for inheritance tax. But it doesn't have to be a source of stress. With the right planning, you can take control, reduce your potential tax bill, and ensure that loved ones receive as much of your hard-earned wealth as possible. So in this video, I'll walk through some of the key rules and some practical strategies you can start thinking about today before you speak to a financial advisor. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is inheritance tax? Well, it's a tax on the estate of a person who's died. An estate includes everything they owned: property, savings, investments, and their possessions. Now, the standard inheritance tax rate is a whopping 40%, but before you panic, you only pay this on part of your estate that's above a certain threshold. Now, that threshold is called the nil rate band, and the 25-26 tax year, it's been frozen at £325,000 per person. This means the first £325,000 of your estate is tax-free, and any value above that is, in theory, taxed at 40%. So, as an example, say your estate is worth £500,000 and you don't use any other allowances. The IHT, inheritance tax, is calculated on the amount above £500,000 minus 325, and that is £175,000. So the tax bill, 40% of that is £70,000. Now, here's where things get a little bit more complex, but also a bit more hopeful. There are key exemptions and allowances you need to know about. So the first one the spouse or civil partner exemption. And this is the most significant one of all. If you leave your entire estate to your spouse or civil partner, there's no inheritance tax to pay, no matter what the value. Now, the second thing is the transferable nil rate band. Now, this is a big one for couples. Any unused nil rate band from the first spouse to die can be transferred to the surviving spouse. This means a couple can effectively have a combined nil rate band of up to £650,000. Now, the third one is the residence nil rate band, or the RNRB. Now, if you own a home and leave it to your direct descendants, and that's children, adopted children, stepchildren or grandchildren, your tax-free allowance can be boosted by an additional £175,000. Now, like the main nil rate tax band, the RNRB is also transferable between spouses. So for a married couple, this can potentially increase their total tax-free allowance to a combined £1 million. 650,000 from the nil rate band plus 350 from the RNRB. Now, a quick note of caution. Just be aware that the RNRB starts to be tapered away from estates worth more than £2 million. So let's talk about a practical strategy, which is gifting. So with the basic rules in mind, let's get into physical strategies. The most common and effective way to reduce your IHT bill is by making lifetime gifts. Now, there are several types of gifts that are exempt from inheritance tax. There's the annual exemption. You can give away up to £3,000 each tax year without it being added to the value of your estate. You can also carry over any unused allowance from the previous year for a maximum of £6,000. Now, there's also the small gifts exemption. You can give up to £250 to as many people as you like in a tax year, as long as they haven't already received part of your £3,000 annual exemption. Then there's wedding gifts. You can give away up to £5,000 for a child's wedding, £2,500 for a grandchild's, and £1,000 for anyone else's. Then there's gifts out of surplus income, and this is powerful but often the most misunderstood exemption. If you can show that you have a regular surplus income, that's not savings, that's a surplus income that you don't need to maintain your standard of living, you can make regular gifts from this income. So not savings, income. Now, this is a great way to help family members with things like school fees or rent without it being subject to inheritance tax. And finally, we have the most well-known rule, the 7-year rule. Now, any gifts you make that isn't covered by an exemption is known as a potentially exempt transfer. If you live for 7 years after making the gift, it becomes completely IH tax free. Well, I say completely, there are quite a few issues here, but if you die within the 7 years, a tapered tax-free tax rate may apply. Now, some other smart strategies beyond gifting, there are some things you should consider. Now, making a will, this is non-negotiable. A will ensures that your estate is distributed according to your wishes and not by the UK's intestacy rules, which can lead to complications and higher tax bills. So your pension pot has generally been a tax efficient way to pass on wealth, but at the time of recording, it does sit outside your estate for IHT tax purposes, but changes have been announced from 2027 that will change this. So you do need to keep up with the news on that. Now, currently, when you die, your remaining pension can be passed on to nominated beneficiaries, often tax-free. As I say, things are changing in that respect. Then there's charitable donations. Now, leaving money or assets to a registered UK charity in your will is fully exempt from inheritance tax. And also as an extra benefit, if you leave at least 10% of your net assets to charity, the IHT rate on the rest of your estate is reduced down from 40% to 36%. Yeah, still quite high. Now, trusts are a more advanced form of IHT planning. By placing assets into trust, you effectively remove them from your estate while still being able to control how they are used for your beneficiaries. Now, there are different types of trusts and they can be complex, so definitely here professional advice is essential. I'm going to show you a video I made recently on some of the pitfalls around using trusts and generally around inheritance tax. See you back in a sec.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're tackling a really important and often misunderstood topic that could have huge implications for your future and your family's financial security. The idea of handing over the deeds of your house to your children, typically with the aim of either avoiding care home fees or maybe inheritance tax. Now, on the surface, it sounds like a clever idea, doesn't it? Give the house to the kids and then it's out of your estate and you could save a fortune down the line. But I'm here to tell you that while the intention may be good, the reality can be fraught with very serious and sometimes devastating risks. And these aren't just minor hiccups. They could mean you lose control of your home or even lose your home entirely. So let's break down why this seemingly smart move can be a very dangerous gamble. So the first thing we'll talk about is the deprivation of assets trap. First up, care home fees. Many people across the UK worry about the soaring costs of long-term care. The thought is, if you give away your house, a local authority can't count it when assessing your ability to pay care, right? Wrong. Now, this is where the deprivation of asset rule comes in. If the local authority believes you may have deliberately given away your home to avoid care fees, they can still include the value of that property in their financial assessments. And they can do this retrospectively, looking back many years. Typically, if you transfer the asset within 7 years of needing care, it's a very high risk, even if it's outside the 7-year window though. If the investigation shows the primary intention was to avoid care fees, they can still challenge it. This means you end up needing care with no house, no funds to pay for it. A truly awful situation. So next, let's look at inheritance tax. Similar to care fees, gifting your home with the sole aim of avoiding inheritance tax also comes with a significant catch. The 7-year rule again. If you gift your property and then pass away within 7 years, its value will still be considered part of your estate for inheritance tax purposes. It's called a potentially exempt transfer or a PET. If you survive those 7 years, then yes, it's generally out of your estate for IHT, but that's a long time to wait and there's no guarantees in life. Plus, during those 7 years, if you continue to live in the house without paying a market rent to your children, it could be classed as a gift with reservation of benefit and still included in your estate, no matter how long ago you made the transfer. Now, once you transfer those deeds, it's no longer your house. You no longer legally own it. This means you can't sell it without each other's consent. Now, what if you change your mind? What if you want to downsize or you need to release equity for your own needs? You're at the mercy of your children. You can't borrow against it. No more equity release to fund your retirement. Your children could ask you to leave. Now, while hopefully that's unthinkable for most families, legally they could. It's their house. Now, the fourth pitfall I want to talk about is your children's lives could become your risks. In other words, your children's problems are your problems. And this is perhaps the most overlooked and most dangerous pitfall. When your children own your home, their financial and their personal problems become your problems. So let's talk first about divorce settlements. Now, imagine your child goes through a nasty divorce. Their estranged spouse could lay claim to a share of your former home as part of the divorce settlement. Now, this happens even if it's the parent's home initially. And the second one is bankruptcy. Say your child has got a business and it starts to run into trouble. Guess what? Your former home is an asset that they own, and it could be seized and sold to pay off creditors. Debt. If your child gets into significant debt, creditors could come after the property that you live in to recover what they're owed. Now, what about children dying before you do? The property would then form part of their estate and would pass accordingly to their will or intestacy rules if they don't have one. This might mean it goes to a son-in-law or a daughter-in-law or a grandchild rather than going back to you or another sibling. Suddenly, your carefully planned strategy to protect your home has put it directly in the firing line of situations that are completely beyond your control. Now, pitfall 5 is family disputes and unforeseen circumstances. Sadly, family dynamics can change. What if your relationship with your child sours? What if one child is given the house, the other sibling feels unfairly treated, leading to bitter disputes? These gifts can sometimes create more problems than they solve and can strain family relationships. So, what can we do? Now, this isn't to say that there aren't legitimate ways to plan for your future and mitigate care home fees or inheritance tax. There are, but they're complex and they require careful professional advice. So we're talking trusts here. So setting up a property in trust can be a viable option for some, and it can offer a degree of protection and control. But again, this needs expert legal advice. And there's also wills and estate planning. A well-drafted will and a comprehensive estate plan are essential for everyone, regardless of property ownership. So my advice is to speak to an independent financial advisor who specializes in later life planning. They can explore all your options and help you understand the long-term implications. Now, also, always consult with a solicitor who specializes in property law and elder law before you make any decisions about transferring a home. They can advise you on the specific rules and the potential pitfalls in your local area. So the bottom line is this: your home is likely your biggest asset and your greatest security. Don't risk losing it or creating unforeseen problems for yourself and your children by trying to navigate these complex legal financial waters alone. The supposed savings often come with incredibly high and often hidden risks.
Now, I can't stress this enough. While this video gives you an overview of the basic rules of inheritance tax, planning is complex and unique to an individual's circumstances. The rules can and do change quite regularly, and getting it wrong can lead to unintended consequences. That's why it's important that you work with a qualified financial planner or a solicitor. I've seen so many people making mistakes in this area. They can help you calculate your potential liability, understand which strategies are right for you, and ensure everything is legally sound. Think of it as the ultimate gift to your family. A financial plan protects the legacy you've built, keeps everyone out of trouble. So to recap, Remember the key thresholds. Use your gifting allowances and make sure your will is up to date. Also, consider the tax efficiency of assets like pensions as far as that lasts, charitable giving as well. Now, I hope you found this useful. You are halfway through our retirement course. Now, if you are enjoying it, then please do send the link to friends who may be interested. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part of the course. Hello and welcome. Now, you may have worked hard for decades, but you're ready now to enjoy the fruits of that labour with retirement. But before you clock off for good, there's one crucial task, and that's getting your tax affairs in order. A little planning in the last year can save you thousands of pounds. So let's get into the most important tax smart moves you need to make before retirement. And part one is all about decoding your pension tax. Now, this is the biggest area of confusion for new retirees. The good news is a portion of your pension is always tax-free. When you start taking money from a defined contribution pension, you're entitled to a tax-free lump sum of up to 25% of the pot's value. Now, the remaining 75% of your pension is then taxable as income. Now, here's a critical bit of advice. Your very first withdrawal from a pension pot is often subject to emergency tax code by the provider. And this means you likely pay a lot more tax than you should in the first instance. But don't panic, this isn't permanent. You can reclaim this overpaid tax by either waiting for HMRC to sort it out themselves at the end of the tax year, or by filling out a form, and the form's called P55, and the details are in the description below. Okay, so part two then is about maximising your allowances. Now, tax planning is all about making the most of the allowances available to you. And in the final year, before you stop working, here's three things to pay close attention to. The first one is your personal allowance. Now, this is the amount of income you can earn each year without paying any income tax. Now, in the UK, it's currently £12,570. Now, if you're retiring part way through the tax year and your total earnings for the year are below this figure, then you can consider making a small pension withdrawal before the tax year end to use up your allowance. And this is quite an efficient way to access some of your pension tax-free. Now, the second thing is the ISA allowance. Now, your ISA, or your individual savings account, is a powerful tool for tax-free growth. Now, each year you can save up to £20,000 into an ISA, and any money you withdraw from it is then completely tax-free. Now, if you have cash sitting in a standard savings account, you should really think about transferring it into something like an ISA before the end of the tax year, and this can protect it from tax in the future. The third thing I wanted to mention was the capital gains tax allowance. Now, if you have investments outside of a pension or an ISA, such as shares or a second property, you may need to pay capital gains tax when you sell them. Now, in the UK, you have an annual tax-free allowance, and if you have any assets that you plan to sell, you might want to consider selling a proportion of them in the final tax year to use up this allowance and avoid a bigger tax bill in retirement. And part three then is a final audit of your finances. Now, finally, use this year to get a comprehensive overview of your financial situation. Maybe you want to think about consolidation. Do you have any old pensions from your employers? Maybe consider consolidating them into a single management pot to make future withdrawals simpler. Though there are some pitfalls there, so don't do that without speaking to a financial advisor. Now, your expenses will change in retirement, so take a final look at your spending habits and project a realistic budget for your new life. Then inform your providers. Make sure all your pension providers and HMRC have the most up-to-date contact information. So to round up then, in the final year before retirement, this is your last chance to actively set yourself up financially and with a tax efficient future. By understanding pension tax, how to use your allowances effectively and getting your house in order, you're not just saving money, you're also gaining that peace of mind. I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you in the next chapter. Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about something more important than pensions and finances. We're talking about designing the lifestyle you've always dreamed of. Now think about it, for decades, many of us have had our days structured by a job, a schedule, a to-do list, and a purpose built around careers. But what happens when that's all gone? Now, retirement is a huge life transition, and most successful retirees are the ones who don't just happen onto it, but have actively designed it. So how do you do that? It's about shifting your mindset from retiring from something to retiring to something. So I'm going to break that down into some pillars for the retirement lifestyle. Pillar one is your social circle. Now, for many people, the work colleagues are a major part of their social life, and when you retire, that changes dramatically. You need to be proactive about building and maintaining new friendships and connections, and this could be a club, taking a class, or even reconnecting with old friends. I mean, strong social bonds are a cornerstone of happiness and well-being. So pillar two is about your passions and purpose. What have you always wanted to do but never had the time for? Now, retirement is your chance, whether it's learning an instrument, or perfecting your golf swing, gardening, or becoming an expert baker. Hobbies give your day structure. But beyond hobbies, think about purpose. What causes are you passionate about? Now, volunteering is an incredible way to stay engaged and feel like you're making a difference. Pillar three then is your health and wellness. I mean, this might be the most important one for many of us. A healthy retirement is a happy retirement. Now it's time to prioritise your physical and mental health. And this means regular exercise, a good diet, and finding ways to manage stress. Maybe it's taking up yoga, daily walks, or learning some meditation. Whatever it is, make it a non-negotiable part of your daily life. So how do you start designing this? I'd recommend a few simple exercises. So grab a notebook and a pen. So exercise one, what we're going to do is we're going to describe the perfect day. So I want you to write down what a perfect day in retirement looks like for you. Now be as specific as possible. What time do you wake up? What do you do in the morning? Who are you with? Okay, write that down. And exercise 2 is something I call the no regrets list. Now, what's on your bucket list that you want to accomplish in retirement? What's the one thing you would regret not doing? So write it all down. Now, designing your retirement lifestyle is an active process. It requires some imagination, planning, and willingness to explore. And the financial side, of course, is crucial, but the lifestyle side makes it what truly is a retirement. So let's start today. Don't wait until you're a month away from your last day of work. Start brainstorming, start dreaming, start imagining, and design the next great chapter of your life. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next chapter. Hey everyone, welcome back. Last time we talked about designing your retirement lifestyle, focusing on shifting your mindset from retiring from something to retiring to something. But today we're going to dive deeper into one of the most important parts of that design, which is how to stay active and engaged so that you can truly enjoy your retirement. Think about it. For decades, our lives have been structured. Our days have been filled with meetings and deadlines and social interactions at work. And when that's gone, it can leave a big gap. So how do you fill it? It's not just about filling time. It's about finding a rhythm that keeps your mind, body, and your spirits energized. So I'm going to break that down into 3 key areas. First one is physical activity. The key here is to find something you genuinely enjoy. If the thought of the gym fills you with dread, a bit like me, don't go. Instead, think about activities you can do every day that feel more fun than a chore. Maybe it's joining a walking group that explores local footpaths, or taking up a more gentle sport, maybe golf or bowls. Or even starting a garden. Now, consistent low impact activity is far better than kind of high intensity workouts on a few occasions. And pillar 1 is then physical activity. We're talking walking, garden, dancing, swimming, them kind of things. Pillar 2, mental activity. Now, this is crucial as well. A healthy brain is a happy brain. Retirement is the perfect time to challenge yourself with some new skills. I mean, have you always wanted to learn to play the guitar or the saxophone, speak a new language, or dive into a new subject? There are so many free online courses and resources available now. Or maybe it's simpler, like joining a book club, learning chess, or tackling complex puzzles. Now, the key is to keep those neurons firing. Pillar 3 then is social connection. This is all about the spirit, and this is where you can combine physical and mental activities. Loneliness can be a real issue in retirement, so being proactive about your social life is essential. Think about how you can use the skills you've built over a lifetime to help others. Maybe volunteering for local charity, or mentoring a younger person, or helping out at a community centre. This can give you a profound sense of purpose. Joining a local group, whether it's for painting or hiking or even just a coffee, can lead to some great new friendships. So remember, staying active and engaged in retirement isn't about being busy for the sake of it. It's about finding meaning in your day-to-day life. It's about nurturing your body, challenging your mind and connecting with others. Now, the best part is you've got all the time in the world to figure that out. Figure out what works for you. Now, I want you to write down what's one thing you're doing or planning to do in retirement to stay active and engaged. So write it down, write down your ideas, and then revisit the list regularly. Okay, thanks, and I'll see you on the next video. So let's get practical. Let's write our retirement plan. In the last couple of videos, we've talked about shifting our mindset and exploring the 3 pillars of a thriving retirement: physical, mental, and social engagement. We've laid the groundwork. Now it's time to get practical. Thinking about retirement is one thing, but actually designing it requires a plan. A retirement action plan is like a personal roadmap. It takes all those big ideas and breaks them down into small, achievable steps. It's the difference between saying, I want to be more active, and actually making it happen. Now, your action plan doesn't have to be complex. I like to think of it again in 3 simple steps. So step 1 is the brainstorm, and this is going to be the what. So remember the perfect day and the no regrets exercises we talked about? This is where you bring these ideas to the forefront. So I want you to get a notepad, pause the video, or you could use a spreadsheet, or maybe a phone app, and just start writing a list of everything you want to do, everything you want to learn, and everyone you want to spend more time with. Don't edit yourself. Think of it as a creative download. For example, your list might include learn to play guitar, volunteer at a local food bank, hike the Yorkshire Dales, or master baking sourdough, something like that. Now, step 2 is the prioritise, or the how. So looking at your list, it might feel a bit overwhelming, and that's a good thing. It means that you've got options. Now, pick 1 or 2 items from each of the pillars: physical, mental, and social. And for each of these, break it down into the first 3 small, specific things you need to do. It moves join walking club from an idea to a series of concrete executable tasks. Do this for 1 goal in each of the 3 pillars. Now, step 3 is the schedule, and this is the when. This is probably the most crucial step at all. So a goal without a deadline is just a wish. So take your specific action steps and put them into a calendar. And if your goal is to find a local book club, your calendar might show Tuesday, search for local book clubs. Wednesday, send an email to the organizer. Now, block out this time. This makes your plan real. It gives you a place in your life. Now, a final bonus tip: revisit the plan every couple of months. Things change, your interests might evolve, and that's okay. Your plan is actually a living document, not a stone tablet. So take the time to write a retirement action plan. This is one of the most proactive and probably rewarding things you can do for your future self. It's a statement that you are in control of this next amazing chapter. Thanks for being on the course with me.